Hi, my name is Lexi, and I am a health coach, embodiment coach, and nutritionist. And today we'll be really talking about embodiment work. What is embodiment work? What does it look like? Who can benefit from embodiment work, including my journey through using embodiment work and integrating it into my life, and now ultimately becoming an embodiment coach. And make sure you stick around to the end of the video. I will be giving away a freebie towards the end. But thank you for being here. I'm so excited to talk about embodiment work. So, before we jump into what embodiment work is, let's first talk about what embodiment means. So, embodiment means to quite literally be in the body. And this is so important because I don't know if you notice, but most of us live in our heads. We're constantly thinking, overanalyzing, our heads are constantly in our phones. And we're constantly living in a head space. So most of us are not embodied in our energy, in our present moment. And this can lead to a plethora of issues that we are seeing now. We can feel unfulfilled, disconnected from ourselves, because quite literally we are disconnected. We could be out of touch with our intuition. We can really lack emotional intelligence, which helps us lead our lives. And that could fester and turn into something like depression or anxiety or, even worse. But that's what happens when we are not connected to our bodies. We're closed off to a very large part of ourselves, quite literally. If we're living in the head, we're only living within logic, reason, the 3D, which is, if you're not familiar with that term, our physical, like what we're experiencing on a day to day basis. The chair in front of us, the life in front of us, the house, all the things we can physically see. So by being disconnected to the body, we are very much cut off from a very large part of this experience. And that is the emotional, the spiritual, and even the physical one too. We're cut off from our needs, from our values, from clarity on our purpose, from direction, from our intuition, all of which the things that are meant to help guide us. So if we're only within our heads, we're only given one perspective. And so when you learn to drop into the body and learn to really connect with your emotions and your physical body, you are able to uncover so much about yourself that you have never ever experienced before. And here's what happens when you connect with the body. You are able to connect with your emotions, understand your emotions, how you feel about things. And mind you, feelings are just as important as thinking. And when we're able to integrate all of ourselves together, we are able to feel so aligned, so connected, so grounded in this present moment. And when we're able to connect to our emotions, we're also able to access deeper layers of ourselves, including our intuition. And if you're not familiar with what intuition is, it is the part of you that knows what's right for you. Have you ever been in a moment where there is something you're questioning? Let's just say, should I go to the grocery store or should I go to the movies? But you just get this really big gut feeling that you shouldn't go to the grocery store, you should go have fun and go to the movies. That's your intuition. And intuition shows up differently for a lot of different people. I'll talk about intuition types later on. Um, but that was just kind of an example of how intuition speaks to you and what that voice looks like. It knows right from wrong, that surpasses all logic, all reasoning, and even emotional attachments at times as well. But when we reconnect with the body, we reconnect with the wisdom within that's held within our bodies. Yes, we're also able to release stored emotions through connecting with the body because you're finally giving those emotions a voice, and that's all they ever wanted. Do you ever notice that the more you resist something, the longer it persists? That's why. Is because everything just wants to be heard. We just want to be heard. Everything just wants to be heard. And so when you finally give the microphone to your emotions, they're finally able to express themselves and release naturally. We're able to actually tap into the intelligence of the emotions, right? If you're into mindset work, you understand that thoughts are just thoughts until you attach yourself to them. Meaning, thoughts are flying in and out, but it's you who puts the meaning to them, right? And same thing goes for emotions. Emotions are just emotions until you attach yourself to them. And so if you are attaching yourself to certain emotions, That's because a part of you wants to be heard. That emotion wants to be heard and expressed and released. And that's exactly what embodiment work does. And so I feel that the people who need embodiment work most are the people who live in their heads. This looks like overthinking, overanalyzing, being confused, not knowing what direction to take in your life. That is a big common sign that you're disconnected from your body. If you're feeling a lack of direction, or you're feeling unfulfilled, or you feel unaligned, meaning like your life just does not resonate with you, like you don't resonate with your job anymore, you don't resonate with people around you, you don't even resonate with yourself anymore, the identity that you have, but you're scared to change identities, you're scared to transform, but you want to. You want to, but you're scared and you don't know how. Or maybe you're having imposter syndrome, right? Like in your mind, maybe you're doing all the mindset work. And so you've healed your mind, you know how to think positively, but somehow your body just does not resonate with what your mind is telling you. Oh, I am the best at this. And your body just gets a bunch of anxiety, right? It's because you're surpassing something. It's not just in the mind, it is also in the body. Or maybe for you, it looks like, maybe you've always wanted to be really expressive, but you just feel so restricted in your body. Like you're unable to express yourself. Maybe you feel very rigid or very closed off. And when you're in public spaces, you find yourself like in the corner, or do you know what I'm saying? It's kind of that energy of being closed off, being rigid, like unable to express and move your body naturally and confidently out into the world. And so if you resonate with any of this, I highly suggest listening on. So my journey started very similar to the qualities that I just mentioned. I've always been a very sensitive, sponge like individual. And so I've always been really sensitive to emotions, but not only my emotions, the emotions around me, and environment. And so I found it very difficult to deal with. So, like most of us, we were taught to shove it down, suppress it, and emotions were weakness, right? So that's kind of how I survived for a very long time until I got my physical illness in 2018. And this was a manifestation of fear and anxiety and stress over a timeline of 3 months when I was competing to be a bodybuilder, which is a story for a different time. Um, and so I got something called an invisible disease. And so I spent the next 6 years going to doctors, specialists, taking tests, all the different blood work, all the different things you could think of in traditional medicine, and nothing. No one can figure out what it was. And so naturally, I started to really listen into my body. What was it? What was its triggers? What was it trying to tell me? And so this was really the beginning of embodiment work for me. Was really listening to my body and how it's responding to different foods, to different people, environments, even the medicine that I was on. I was taking ADHD medicine at the time, and I actually decided to get off of it because I recognized it kept pulling me out of the moment and making me even more anxious. I quit caffeine as well at this time too. And I was able to recognize what foods were triggering me, and ultimately through listening to my body and its own triggers, I was able to discover what I had, which was adrenal fatigue. And so that was really the beginning of embodiment work for me. But I really only learned to heal the physical side of things. Okay, cool. So now I understand how my body is physically responding to something. Well, that led to deeper healing. And so then I naturally went to the mind. I started working on my mindset, practicing more gratitude, meditation, and all these things. But it got to a point in my journey where I was still living with imposter syndrome, feeling disconnected, unfulfilled. Like I was not able to be grounded in the present. I wasn't able to connect to my joy, my happiness, or my highest self and really embody my highest self. And so I kept asking for signs. What's my next step in my healing process? And that is when I came across embodiment work. And so now I was able to integrate everything I learned from taking care of my physical body to my mental body. And now I've been able to anchor into my emotional body. Because I've been able to anchor into my emotional body, it's opened up my spiritual body like crazy. My intuition is coming through a lot more clearly. My emotional intelligence got a lot better. I feel physically a lot more clear, meaning I don't feel like I'm walking around with anxiety all the time, fear, all the things that used to plague me. And I'm also a lot more connected to myself, which has allowed me to get clear on my purpose here. And so now I've built a business that is anchored in my mission and in the clarity I found through the work that I've done. And it's also helped me release a lot of stored trauma from my body, as well as unsupportive energies and anything that's been stuck. I've been able to access my inner child, my inner teenager, my highest self. And so embodiment work really came up for me at a time where I really felt like there was something missing. I had done the healing on my physical body. I had done a lot of mindset work and shifting a lot of limiting beliefs, but I hadn't dropped into the stored emotion in my body. I was so disconnected from my body. I was living with imposter syndrome. And I constantly felt like my mind was trying to say and do something, and my body was constantly resisting. And so it was like I was really able to drop from my head down really into my body. And so embodiment work really consists of 3 steps, generically speaking here. The first step is emote, the second is embody, the third is express. So let's start with emote. So emote is all about giving that emotion the microphone, really allowing it to speak what's on its mind. And so the way we do this is we want to recognize where in our bodies do we feel this emotion? Is it in our chest? Is it in our throat? And then what does it feel like? Does it feel heavy? Does it feel light? And for example, does it feel like anxiety in the stomach? Or does it feel like a tightness in the chest? And then how is it making you feel? Is it making you feel unsure? Is it making you feel sad, anxious? What are the feelings coming up for you? Does it have a color, a shape, a texture? And so we're really personifying and really trying to understand from all angles what this emotion is and what it feels like. And so now moving into embody. Now we're giving the body the microphone. How does the body want to work with this emotion? Does it intuitively want to move in that direction? Does it want pressure, some tapping, some physical touch, maybe even a massage? And so we're really allowing the body to move it in the way it sees fit, intuitively speaking. And so we're really allowing the body to intuitively move that area to see how it wants to work with that emotion. And now finally, my favorite part is express. So this is all about unleashing it out now. Now we're releasing it fully. So whether we're doing that through breath work, through dance, through movement, through paint, through journaling, through voice memos on your phone, we're just really allowing this emotion to release throughout the body in the way that feels right. At the end of each embodiment practice, I always like to ask, what wisdom do you carry for me? What message are you here to show me? And so this framework can be used in a lot of different ways. I've used it for inner child healing with clients. I've used it for inner teenager healing, for connecting with your highest self. I've also used it to learn how to simply embody emotions you like to call in more of. And so that is it. Thank you so much for watching until the end. I really hope you found some value in learning more about embodiment work. And if you are interested in exploring more about what this work can offer you, and you're ready to move out of your head and into your body, I would love to support you. I am, for a limited time, offering free 30-minute embodiment work sessions with me. Do hurry because spots and spaces are quite limited. But you can go ahead and book that in the link below. And again, thank you so much for watching. If you're interested in learning more about embodiment work or other practices, go ahead and click on subscribe to stay informed and up to date on everything. If you're also interested in working one-on-one, I have linked that in the description below. But thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.